Hi guys and welcome. I wanted to give you an energy update on what is going on for us energetically. We have a lot of planets in retrograde right now. Today I specifically want to mainly talk about Chiron retrograde and what that means for us and what crystals we can use during Chiron retrograde to take advantage of those energies. So if you do not know me yet, I am Laura Weigel, and I am a crystal healer and the owner and the creator of the Will2WOW Jewelry. Okay, so Chiron is in retrograde from July 23rd all the way till December 27th. We have 4 other planets in retrograde right now, and we are in the shadow for a 5th planet, Mercury retrograde. So I'm just going to give you a little update on what that means for us, and then we'll go into Chiron retrograde and the reason I'm most interested in that one. And if you haven't heard of it, I'm not surprised. Okay, so first of all, we have Venus retrograde. So Venus is going to have us reevaluate and look at what love means for us, what kind of love we want to attract into our life, because anything retrograde means it's time to go backwards and it's time to review and to relook at things and to go inward. And since Venus is the ruler of our heart and of love, and it's also a beauty and our home, it's time to really take a closer look at those things, okay? Okay, Saturn retrograde is my favorite. I love it when Saturn is in retrograde. It is all about reviewing our karmic and our life lessons. And I want just to remind you that if that's coming up, the past and karma, just don't get stuck there. Write it down, and then that way you can move forward so it doesn't happen again in your life. And also on the flip side of that, there may be something that happened in your life that you really love and you want to recreate that. Okay, so Neptune is also in retrograde, and that will heighten our intuition. We will be highly intuitive right now. If we take the time to tap into it, you'll really notice that. I personally have been noticing just dreams like crazy, and I never really remembered my dreams or had very vivid dreams, and they are very vivid and they're lucid, and they actually even wake me up. So that's how it's been affecting me personally. I'd love to hear if it's also affecting you. So that's Neptune, also retrograde. And then we have Pluto retrograde. Pluto will be bringing up some hidden truths. Think subconscious. Think of even finding out different truths at work and at home, something that maybe you've even been lying to yourself about. But it's about peeling back those layers, going deeper and finding out those hidden truths. But remember, all of these retrogrades really energetically, it's like a time to review and rewind so that we can propel further in the future. Again, my only recommendation is to not get stuck in the review part of it. That's why it's nice to write it down and then kind of move on. Okay, I've written this down and I'm moving on, because we don't want to also get stuck there. We want to utilize it, but we don't want to get stuck in it. And I think that's sometimes why retrogrades may get a bad rap, because we get stuck in the looping thoughts from past and re-looking at things and rewinding, and we don't want to get too stuck in our head. So if you haven't already, this week's blog post newsletter talks about some ways to get unstuck, and it dives deeper into the Chiron retrograde. And there's another blog post out there that I did on Venus retrograde as well. Okay, so next up, we're in the shadow energy of Mercury retrograde, which is my ruling planet. Gemini and Virgo are ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the most popular retrograde that people talk about because it rules our mind, communication, and electronics. So it's very noticeable when Mercury is retrograde, which I think is why we talk about it more, because we have a lot of miscommunication Okay, so Chiron is also in retrograde right now. And what is that? It has been believed to be a comet. It has been believed to be a meteorite, but it's technically, I believe, like an asteroid, and I believe it sits in between Jupiter and Saturn. Now, I may not be completely correct on that, but what I am correct on and what I've studied with that is that Chiron is known as the wounded healer. So when Chiron retrogrades, which is what I mainly want to talk about today, it's bringing up all of your past traumas. So you see what I'm saying? We've got like 6 things massive happening right now. But to work with the energy to really make a difference in our life, I think that really going through our past traumas to heal those will help the most, okay? And again, those dates are, it started July 23rd. It goes all the way to December 27th. So I don't think that that means you need to do something every day with it, but it might be nice to be aware of and to meditate with that intention. So if anything comes up, because a lot of times traumas that are still sitting in us energetically may even be at a subconscious level, or it could even be something massive. You know, you may have just gone through a divorce or lost a job or had a significant other pass away, which are all very traumatic experiences. And if you've been following me for a while, you know the reason I got out of teaching special education and into the crystal and more holistic world was because I suffered a trauma when my son did. He was 11 months old and had an anoxic brain injury. And I can tell that I'm healing from that trauma, right? I can tell the story now without crying. I can just tell, you know, it's not like this constant waking up in the middle of the night, you know, what's going to happen in the future, those fears controlling my life. So I can tell that I've worked through the trauma, but I can also tell that there's still some sitting there on a subconscious level, and it may forever. That's a major trauma, right? And it may forever, but it feels really good when I set an intention to go in and to release. What I mean by releasing some of it is I personally, and everybody does something a little bit different, but for me, there's some movement, like yoga, right? Or even just going for a walk. But movement for me first starts to move the energy through the body. I've also really felt that breath work with intention has helped to release that and really focusing on my exhales. I've liked simple box breathing. If you don't know what that is, you can go ahead and Google that, but that has really helped. And then laying in some deep relaxation afterwards. And then I feel like I've accessed a deeper part of my brain. A lot of times when I'm laying in the relaxation, I like to listen to some beta waves. You can find it on Spotify or YouTube, but it really calms the parasympathetic system down, and things may come up for you then to release or to work with, or oh my gosh, I didn't know that I'm still dealing with that and that's causing me some problems in my life. Maybe that's why I react the way I do in certain situations. So I have a couple crystal recommendations for this Chiron retrograde, and they're right here. So one is this rhodonite. Rhodonite I love. As you can tell, it's pink, so it's associated with the heart chakra. It also has black in it, so it's also very grounding and protective, protecting your heart when you're going in to do the deep work, you know, having that sense of grounding when you go in to do the deep work. So it's a trauma healing stone. Amethyst, a very spiritual stone, connecting with your higher self and with spirit as you're doing this healing, knowing that you're not alone when you're doing this healing, calling in spirit and your higher self to help with the healing. And then labradorite, bringing that subconscious to the consciousness for healing. It's the stone of magical transformations. And so this really, labradorite will work with any and all of these retrogrades, because this is the real deal for helping us to transform, which is why we do this type of work. Okay, so happy retrograde season. I really hope that you found this helpful. If you did, please give me a subscribe, like, and share.